Geoffrey Chaucer was born in London in the year 1343. We do not know the exact date of his birth, but it was probably around the middle of the decade. His father was a prosperous wine merchant, and his mother was a woman from a good family. Chaucer was educated at a grammar school in London, and he may also have studied at Oxford University. Chaucer held several important positions in the royal household, in 1357, and he also travelled extensively on royal business. He also served in the wars against France in 1359 and 1360. In 1366, he married Philippa Red, a lady-in-waiting to Queen Philippa of Hainaut. He was well known and respected in court circles, and he was an accomplished poet and writer. Chaucer's best-known work, the Canterbury Tales, was written in the 1380s. He became a page in the royal household in 1357, and soon afterwards he was married to Philippa Red, one of the Queen's ladies-in-waiting. Chaucer's afterward royal household came to an abrupt end in 1359, when the political situation in England took a turn for the worse and he was forced to flee to France. He spent the next several years working as a diplomat in the service of King Edward III, and it was during this period that he began to write poetry in the English language. Chaucer's first major work, the Book of the Duchess, was written in 1368, and it was followed by a number of other poems, including The House of Fame, The Parliament of Fowls, and Troilus, and several. Chaucer's greatest work, the Canterbury Tales, was begun around 1387 and is unfinished. It is a collection of 24 stories told by a group of pilgrims on their way to the shrine of Thomas Becket in Canterbury. Chaucer died in 1400, and was buried in Westminster Abbey. Geoffrey Chaucer was a 14th-century English Renaissance writer and diplomat, who is best known for his Canterbury Tale. 14th century served as a diplomat and civil servant to King Edward III, and was sent on several diplomatic missions to France and Italy. He was also an active member of Parliament and served as a Justice of the Peace. Chaucer's writing was highly influential during his lifetime, and his work continues to be studied and admired today. Geoffrey Chaucer lived through some of the most tumultuous years in English history. He was born in the midst of the 100 Years' War, and his early years were marked by the Black Death and Amid of Old. As he entered adulthood, Chaucer became caught up in the political machinations of the time. He also wrote some of his most famous works during this period, including the Canterbury Tales and Troilus and Cressida. Geoffrey Chaucer was one of the most important writers of the Middle Ages. He is best known for his Canterbury Tales, a collection of stories written in the late 14th century. Chaucer was a versatile writer and also wrote poetry, prose, and drama. His work was very popular in his own time and has continued to be popular with readers over the centuries. Chaucer's poetry is noted for its humor, wit, and realism. He is also considered one of the first great English writers, and his work has had a significant influence on English literature. Chaucer's descendants have included several notable people, including the writer and poet Thomas Chaucer, the politician and diplomat Thomas Gray, and the actress Helena Bonham Carter. Chaucer's posthumous reputation has been very positive, and he is considered one of the greatest English poets. However, Chaucer's later years were marked by personal tragedy and anxiety. His wife and several of his children died, and he was plagued by financial problems. He also became increasingly religious, and his works reflect a deep concern with spiritual matters. In the end, Chaucer's anxieties about death and the afterlife led him to withdraw from the world. Last year was a difficult one for many people, with the pandemic causing widespread disruption and hardship. But it was also a year that saw some amazing stories and moments of human connection. One of the highlights for me was reading Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. This collection of stories, written in the 14th century, is one of the greatest works of English literature. It's a timeless work that speaks to the human condition in a way that is both funny and moving. I was particularly struck by the story of the wife of Bath, who is a powerful and independent woman ahead of her time. Reading the Canterbury Tales was a welcome respite from the events of last year, and a reminder that the human spirit can triumph in the face of adversity. I'm looking forward to reading more great works of literature in the years to come. Geoffrey Chaucer died in 1400, just before the start of the new millennium.